Let's talk a little bit about things that you should do before you actually begin designing. When you think of the design process, think about it taking the shape of a diamond. You begin the process at the top of the diamond with the nucleus of the idea you wish to communicate to your given audience. At this point, you only have the idea you generated, with no thought given at all to execution. As you proceed down the sides of the diamond, you add in elements: line, shape, type, texture. Utilizing the basic design elements and principles will help you to communicate this idea. As you reach the midpoint of the diamond, when you have added every possible element that could aid communication to that original idea, then you begin to filter and dispense with unnecessary or weaker elements to the pure idea. Finally, you choose only the elements you judge to be crucial in conveying your idea. At this point, you will have reached the point of your diamond. All of the elements that remain are the strongest elements, and they're the ones that you need to create your finished design. Format comes first. Format is the surface on which the elements that will be used to build a design are placed. Structure is the way the elements are placed in the format. At conception of a project, you start with a blank sheet, a clean slate. All designs begin with an area of nothing but space and empty canvas. No type, lines, color, shape, photos, or illustrations. The space is defined by the dimensions and the restrictions of the piece. This is format. Before beginning any design, decide the size and shape of your format. In some cases it will be predetermined, and in others the format is up to you. If you are choosing the format, be sure to consider what visual impact you want the piece to have on the viewer and what format best accomplishes that. Creative formatting. What visual impact do you want to have on the viewer, and what format should best accomplish this? Sometimes the shape of the format increases the visual impact of the design. A brochure that is non-standard in size will stand out in the sea of rectangular brochures. If the shape is indicative to the business, like let's say I'm a pearl diver, I might want a round brochure. The form reflects the content. That's even better. Much of what we design creates an immediate impression on the viewer before even a single word is read. Format plays a large role in creating the proper mood for a design. Practical formatting. What restrictions exist initially? Will the final piece be mailed at a particular size? Will it need to fit in a particular size envelope? Will it need to meet size and weight restrictions from the post office? Will it need to fit in a binder or a filing system? Will it be viewed on broadband connection? How much money do you have in budget for printing, paper, delivery? These are all practical questions that will affect your choice of format. When the format of a piece is considered carefully from both creative and practical formatting standpoints, your design is well on the way to being appropriate for the client. It is also beginning to become a design solution that carries a visual impact. Good design can be made great by useful use of creative format. Make this decision carefully as you begin your design, and you will often find the rest of the design falls automatically into place. Remember, the types of format refer to the size, shape, and function of a design. Format is not limited to two-dimensional paper projects, but also applies to product designs, box designs, websites, video graphics, multimedia projects, CD booklets, DVD packaging, videotape labels, posters, banners, newsletters, brochures, magazines, manuals, annual reports, stock reports, financial statements, book jackets, calendars, billboards, postcards, bumper stickers, shopping bags, store signs, sale flyers, newspaper ads, telephone book ads, promotional t-shirts, and baseball caps. The list goes on and on. What to consider when determining format? Well, you want to think of the visual impact. What visual impact do you hope this piece will have on the intended audience? How much information will you eventually be expected to place on the format? Does the quantity or quality of the art dictate you to use a specific proportion? What is the print or burn run? That's basically the quantity of the piece to be produced. How will the format impact the cost of mailing? Will using a small size or a different format give you a break on mailing costs, or will it actually increase mailing costs? What is the end use of the piece? For example, does it need to fit into a particular file or be placed into an existing sales kit? Will it be used on the web or a CD? And finally, what is the visual function of the piece? Will it work better as a multi-page brochure if it is folded in a certain way? Does it need a dynamic presentation to be effective? You definitely want to think of all these things when you're determining what sort of format to use. Before you begin, you want to make sure you're able to define the design project, identify your audience, and make sure that your project and delivery will appeal to that audience. You want to use copy effectively. Understand the design elements and design principles so that they can aid in making your message the most effective. You need to know the following 4 things before you begin designing. You need to know what you want to say. That's the purpose. You need to know who you want to hear that message. That's your audience. You need to know what kind of page format you want the audience to view your message on, the size, shape, and function of the page. And you want to know a basic knowledge of design principles and elements available. So decide what you want to say. Knowing the purpose of a page will help you decide what it is you want to say and how you want to say it. Ask yourself, what exactly is it that you want to communicate, and what is your intent? Is it informal? Is it to educate, entertain, persuade, sell, direct, provide an experience, or serve as a reference? The words and images you use to entertain is going to differ greatly from the ones you would use as a reference. What you want or need to say will help you to determine how many visual elements you need in your design. The amount of those elements, which are basically words and images, will affect how your design and your page layout actually looks. Layout is the design and placement of visual elements on a page. Number 2, decide who the audience is. The more you know about your audience, the better equipped you are to attract their attention and to communicate your message. Knowing more about your audience demographics like age, gender, education, occupation, income, marital status, and so on and so forth, these things are going to help you to target your audience and to speak to them in a voice that they will understand. When you're defining who your audience is and how you can best visually speak to them, try to put yourself in their shoes. Try to design to appeal to their what's in it for me instincts. If your design has no perceived immediate value or takes a long time to read, then your audience may lack the motivation to read your message, and the message will basically fall on deaf ears. Pick a design format. Knowing who your audience is will also help you to determine the best format in which to communicate with them. The format you choose will influence how much information you should put within the space, as well as the size and shape of the page you will work in. Compare, let's say, poster considerations to a newspaper ad. If we're talking about a poster, we're using a fairly large format that's probably going to be viewed from farther away. So we want to use images that are larger, headlines that are larger, and keep it a little light on the copy. If we're thinking about a newspaper ad, well, newspapers are generally read about, a couple feet away from your face. You're holding them in your hands and reading the newspaper. So you could use more copy in a newspaper ad. And then finally, the basic knowledge of design principles and elements that are available. Well, more information on those things are forthcoming because there's a lot of things that we need to discuss. But hopefully this gives you an overview of the format and considerations that you want to think about before you actually begin designing it all.